Just in, PulseChain core coins dump 35% and then seemingly recover. Welcome back to you, my friends. We are witnessing some extreme amounts of volatility. We have a Richard Heart sacrifice for ProveX. We're going to go through about what's going on. I don't know if it's psyops. I don't know what the intention is. There are contradictions when it comes to these. This is the candle we are looking at for PLS. And it was one hell of a dumperoonie that we saw. We saw just this enormous, huge collapse down 25%. And it's actually come back up, double bottom. And actually, here we go again. I just want to let you know as well. I got a phone call from one of my friends. And it could have been a bottom signal. Okay? Because when Shubs calls me, it's just for some reason, it's usually at some extreme moment, either fear or euphoria. Okay, I'm hoping that the phone call was because of fear. Actually, friends, if you look at the Wyckoff Pattern, in the Wyckoff Pattern, it's kind of funny. This just happens in markets all the time. It doesn't matter what you're looking at, okay? There is actually this textbook. You see this spring part here? You see this final spring? Right, this happens in like every asset class. For some reason, you do this like this double bottom and everyone thinks it's fine. And then you creak down lower. And for some reason, this final spring part, the actual spring is like this emotional discharge from everyone who says, we're ruined, we're ruined, we're ruined, it's over. I got many DMs as well during this moment of everyone saying it's totally over. We've definitely been scammed. And so it's funny, friends, as well. Did you know this happened right before XRP did their big move? Right, I'll actually show it to you right now. So you just know XRP did that big move, friends. Do you remember XRP, what happened right here, friends, in July 2024? That was when one of the XRP, the founders, I forgot what his name is, right? Remember he got hacked? He lost like $200 million of XRP or something. Do you remember? Yeah, it was like one of the biggest missteps. It's like, oh my gosh, dude, you printed yourself billions of dollars of tokens and you got yourself compromised. Like, what a stab in the face. Yeah, that actually happened like here. It was the final moment. That was the spring. And then went pop. Isn't it wild? That had nothing to do with the news that came on. It's like nothing ever happened. Nobody ever talks about it. Like, hey, what happened to those XRP that was stolen? It ends up getting recovered and stuff. It was like the final let go in the moment. So let's actually continue with what's going on here. Okay, so Richard Hart, I've got his Twitter up here. We've had this extreme volatility. Okay, we've like seen minus 40%. And I've just been watching it from the sidelines. Okay, let's actually go through. Let's look at his post. So friends, just to show you. So firstly, he drops this post as well. He says pretty much, first thing he says is, Bitcoin was cool in that it launched and you could trade it long before anyone was using it in the real world. People were mining it and trading it before it even had a price. It's cool you can just launch a token and trade it on chain before anything else is even built around it. Really reduces the time to market. Okay, so he drops that. And also got to bring some context as well, friends, as well. Okay, so yesterday, even before this, he dropped this hint. How do you pull your band-aids? Okay, fast or slow? Okay, so and then he actually deleted it. Okay, he actually deleted it. Now, obviously, that's why, like, you know, you might be wondering, Sommi, why are you even showing this if it was deleted? Well, you know, like when you get a minus 40% thrown in your face, okay, you got to remember, friends, as well. Even though I present this information, emotions take over anyway. It doesn't really matter. No, I'm not a paid actor. I'm just trying to like almost like guide, like Rafiki from Lion King. Okay. But yeah, I don't know, friends. We could all be getting scammed, dude. We'd totally be getting scammed. But I'm just like, let's think about this though. If you've got access to $600 million of Ethereum, why would you bother wasting your time to scam like $100,000 for this ProveX sacrifice? You've already got the $600 million. Why don't you just run off with that? Okay, so that's kind of irrational. Hey, let me go spend all this time. I've made $600 million. Let me now go and squeeze another $5. It doesn't seem rational for someone to do that. If we want to explore that, because we're all looking at this minus giant, huge dump down, right? And then you have Mr. DGen Dan. No one has any money left to sacrifice other than core coins. I'm losing faith in the fat man, not gonna lie. And I replied, maybe that's the bait. Mike Jones, not this time. This time it's real-time scamming. It's time to end it. There's a group discussing to fund a real lawsuit this time, not the half-ass filing SEC did. Okay, and I've just showed the chart. So I know you see minus 40%, friends. This is literally just a chart. You just don't want to double bottom. Okay. Okay, see, it doesn't, see what I'm talking about, that Wyckoff, the spring? Like, the emotions of that spring, you look at the chart, you're like, nah, that can't possibly be what we're looking at. It is. I mean, look at it. This is literally it. This is literally it, okay? This is just, it's this strange phenomena of charts and patterns. Also, friends, something you should know, right? I was watching, you know, that Professor Jiang Li, he talks about, like, you know, history and religion on YouTube and stuff. Well, something very interesting, I was watching one of his recent videos. Psychopaths, they take snapshots of their brain, and billionaires and billionaire CEOs, they also take snapshots of their brain too, and they're actually similar. Yeah, they're actually similar. Their brains, they actually look similar when you take a picture of literally a psychopath. Psychopath, no empathy. Which kind of makes sense because, like, you know, a billionaire making a company, making a product in charge of 10,000 people, they're making decisions where they're kind of looking at everybody like a chess piece. There's products, there's services, there's going out to market. You're thinking of, like, global scale stuff. Well, you completely remove the empathy for, like, someone screaming, you know, or the janitor out there, right? They don't think about stuff like that. Like, a CEO's like, hey, I got to make sure our cost, our profit margin, like, never drops below 10% for the stock price, you know? So that CEO, he doesn't cry a tear when he's thinking about, damn, man, we've got 3 janitors, we only need 2. And one of them's not going to be able to feed his kids. Doesn't think like that. He just makes the call. He's like, that's it. We've got to get rid of 8% of the bottom of our workforce. I don't care. Just get rid of them. You see what I mean? And obviously, it's a never-ending battle. That's why some people might say, hey, you're ruthless. You're ruthless. You have no emotion and empathy. But, you know, if you had emotion and empathy, you never get the company in the first place. Okay? This is just... You're probably wondering as well, like, what the hell does that got to do with crypto? Well, you got to understand, friends. Crypto, we're building digital cities. All right? So, I mean, like, you know, if you're building a city, you need workers. There's costs to do stuff. There's people who hold bigger shares of the city compared to smaller shares, right? There's contracts that get handed out. Okay, you're dealing with humans on a mass scale, and it is a scale. Okay, this is something you just got to understand. So what I'm trying to do is, while I play some Pumpy G music, I'm just trying to help you, okay? I'm just trying to help you assess what's going on, okay? But friends, I don't know, it could be a massive scam. This could all be a total scam. I'm just telling you, the world you see, okay, you're a pleb like me, man. You know, yeah, we got our squeaky chair, you get your pointy elbows, maybe you get your orange juice, okay? 3 or 5 ice cubes. These people, there's other people, they just vibe differently, okay? They did not stop when they got $2.5 million net worth, a lawnmower, and now they can just literally take a holiday once a year and, you know, they can buy their kids a skateboard for Christmas. They didn't stop there, okay? They looked at that and they're like, I don't give a crap about that, right? I want to be the dude who, like, has a fountain of himself, who, like, owns the train stations. I want to be the dude who's actually, like, owning the television network that's, like, brainwashing everyone. You never think about that stuff. I don't either. You see what I mean? They're just different. They're wired differently, right? Like Steve Jobs. Why didn't Steve Jobs stop when he was worth $10 million? Okay. Why didn't he? Why did he not stop when he just sold a lot of, you know, Apple products in, like, California? Why did he have to go to all of America, and then all of the Eastern Hemisphere of the world, and then all of the entire world? Why stop? Elon Musk as well. Okay. Why didn't Elon Musk stop at baby number 3 and then just stop? Why does Elon Musk run like 3 companies? Why is he still DMing Tiffany Fongles? Okay, they're just wired differently, friends. This is, you know, but then you also wonder, okay, now what the hell does that got to do with Richard Hart? Well, this is the thing, friends. These people are like sample size 1. Okay, it's n equals 1. You can't copy paste them. Okay? Because they're like unique unicorns in their own field, you don't really have anything to compare it to. You're just watching someone like with their own chaotic randomness, and you're kind of praying that it all works out. Like, friends, remember, like I'll just give you an example. How many times has the founder of $1 trillion market cap stock gone onto a podcast and then just smoked a joint? How do you price that in, by the way? How do you price that in? Wait a minute. And then, by the way, Tesla stock was like stalling out during this period of time. You have literally zero data points to refer to. Like, wait a minute, bro. You just went in the face of danger. You just literally went and just start smoking a joint on a podcast. You see what I mean? They're wired differently, man. They make calculations differently. But yeah, that's why I'm gently reminding you as well. Man, it could be one giant elaborate scam, okay? But if it's not a scam, are you seeing it from a different perspective now? So we've got this sacrifice here. And friends, I don't know what to do with the sacrifice, okay? Because on one hand, obviously, I'm not participating. But I'm just going to tell you now. If it pumped up only, it would make a lot of sense. Because no one else is participating. Okay? There's just a bit of suspicious stuff with it. That's all. Look at it. So ProveX, he's got a sacrifice now. You are sacrificing your coins to make a political statement. You believe in capitalism, the removal of middlemen, replacing trust with proof. Now, you can sacrifice everything except PulseChain core coins. All right. BTC, ETH, Tether, Soy, XRP, Tron, Hyperliquid, etc. Zcash, and many other coins from networks. You can't game the system with illiquid coins. No sacrifices will be credited from the PulseChain network for anything. No Pulse, PulseX, Inc, HEX, or EHEX will be credited. Okay. And, okay, so first thing I had a look at that and I thought, strange, you know? Because you can't send them in, does that mean if you want to participate, you have to sell the bottom to get your pennies and then hand in your pennies? Is that one way to wash people out? Okay, that's one potential. Otherwise, those weak hands, right, if they're getting ProveX coins, they just become dump pressure in ProveX. I'm wondering, man. I don't know. I'm just wondering. Okay, I'm just trying to work this out. Now this is where it gets a bit more controversial. When I looked at this, I go, this is really weird. Okay, obviously we know PulseChain, there was a sacrifice whale bonus, and it was like 2.5x. Now there was controversy with it because a lot of people believed it was too high. Where I think, for example, like Rector Michelle put in like 20 million sacrifice, but he got like 50 million of coins. So it's like excessive dump pressure. Okay. So you might think the next time you would do a sacrifice, the bonus is less than 2.5x. That's what I would have thought. But actually, the bonus is higher. So he says the max bonus is 3x, and there's a leaderboard. What might be airdropped for free to those addresses noticed proving their belief in this political statement? What other tokens should be added and what networks? So it's standard sacrifice. You could already hear Ivan on Tech laughing for like 7 minutes, 10 minutes. You know, Ivan's stream might just literally have a whole 60-minute stream where he's just laughing and laughing at everybody, okay? Here you have Mr. Poopy. As soon as it announced as well, PulseChain was down 40%. All PulseChains down 40%. I hope you know what you're doing, sir. Plenty of people selling or probably leaving the chain. And here we have Victor. What do I sack with? I've got about $2.50 to my name. Okay? Here we have Kevy. You should do a live stream. All right. So obviously everyone's like, huh. That's why events is it's strange because it's like, wait a minute. Kind of makes no sense. Wouldn't you want to sacrifice when everyone's rich to maximize the amount of money? And why would you give everyone a 3x bonus unless you were participating the majority yourself? That's another thing. It's literally 15-dimensional chess. Everybody's too poor to sacrifice. No one's going to play the game. and you give yourself a 3x sack because you're going to sack. So you don't know, but here's another thing. I'm not saying to touch it. Okay, you can do what you want. You don't know when you get your coins, by the way. You just don't know when you get your coins. I mean, if the precedent we have for PulseChain, you sacrificed in July 2021, and PulseX was December 2021. You got your coins 1.5 to 2 years later. Okay, so that's the precedent we have. All right. He also continues, it takes a couple of hours for the data collector to get a TWAP, time-weighted average price, and show it in the leaderboard. I wouldn't be surprised if they allowed DAI, WETH, Tether, USDC sacks on the PulseChain network. Okay, so... And by the way, there's one suspicious wallet who accidentally sacrificed 10 million HEX. And Richard said, this guy threw his HEX away and will get no credit. Don't be like this guy. Interesting, right? So, interesting. They aren't posting because they are you. I'm ready, Captain. Interesting, all right? Now, of course, friends, everybody just had the massive heart attack once they started to see, like, everything literally just go to zero. If I refresh the page as well, there's literally no change, okay? If you just change to the 6-hour chart, everything's reversed. But yeah, everything was down. Literally just said everything was like just down 20 to 40%. And they've come back like nothing happened. That's why there was a hint, friends, okay? That's why you might also see, like... Remember, Richard did that tweet which he deleted. He goes, hey, how do you rip off a Band-Aid, fast or slow? And then he deleted the tweet, okay? Did he delete the tweet because he's embarrassed of the tweet? No. He deleted the tweet just to... They just sent... Look, friends... I was explaining to Shubs on the phone. I know it's hard. I'm here 18 hours a day, dude. I know it's not easy, but like, like, trust me, friends. I want him to pump my bags, and so I can walk away too. Everyone wants that, right? Everyone like, hey, give me a 50x because crypto's been really long. Okay, we want that. But here's the reality of the situation, man. How would you, in a decentralized network where you can't control everyone, how do you shake out weekends? I would like to ask you, what's your method? What would you actually do? Would you call up the guys with a lot of supply who you don't like and say, hey, you're smelly and you're fat, you got a small willy, sell your coins. Think about it. Would that work? Would it actually work? Okay. Maybe he probably sees their wallets on the chain. Okay. No, but by the way, I'm guessing. He hasn't. I don't know all these. I'm just guessing. Okay. What if you saw the supply distribution in a few places? You're like, you know, I want these guys rinsed just a bit more, How would you actually get rid of them? I'd like to ask you, honestly. Okay? Because I'll tell you right now, you getting on the phone and calling them fat and saying they have a small willy and telling them to sell, it's probably not going to get them to sell. Okay? Just letting you know. It's not going to get them to sell. So what would you actually do? Okay, that's why, like, a lot of you friends actually been thanking me, even in PDI Telegram. You go, Sommi, he should have just done your method. But my method was totally skits. I go, step 1, sell from the origin address 10% of the supply. Step 2, make a tweet saying, I'm going on holiday. See yous. Step 3, delete your Twitter. Step 4, disappear for 72 hours. Yeah. But I think even he's probably like, okay, you're an actual psychopath now. It's funny. He'd probably be thinking, that's actual psychopathic stuff. Look, there's rules you can break. There's things you do, there's things you don't do. You know what I mean? Maybe you just, for the PulseChain core coins, maybe he's like, hey, I don't want to touch the OA sack bags because that will set a bad precedent for the next 15 years. All right? That could be one example why. He's like, you know, we don't need to go to that. We don't have to put the emergency nuke button. Let's shake him out another way. Okay? It could be that. And that's why, friends, I don't know. Let's play some angel music, okay? We could be totally losing our minds here. How do we even know if to shake out? Maybe he's just doing the reload scam. You know? Think about that. But then you also got to think, dude, that's why, just think about it, okay? If you have $600 million, okay, why would you waste like 3 months trying to extract another $100,000? It makes absolutely no sense, okay? And by the way, that's $600 million of Ethereum. Getting Ethereum yield per year, all right, I'm calculating it now. You get $21 million in yield. You could just literally host Ethereum validators. You'll earn $21 million a year. So if it's a giant elaborate scam, it makes no sense. Like, bro, the Ethereum network will literally give you $21 million a year to do literally nothing with your ETH. Why would you go and make a logo and a website and do all this for a Mr. Prove or ProveX stuff to extract a couple of $100,000? It makes absolutely no sense. Okay? So he also made this tweet. One of the things people really like about new coins is less people being able to dump on their head. One cool way to achieve that is to make it harder to get the coins. I like the feeling of a chart that makes new all-time highs often instead of new all-time lows. And one of the ways to help achieve that is for sellers to no longer have things to sell and buyers to be able to buy quite low. Buying the bottom is more fun than buying the top, I hear. Anyway, random market thoughts. So some people jumped in, like Mr. Spidey, who's an actual spider himself, with his cute, 15 eyes and his 8 little legs. And he said, oh, he's kind of hinting the PulseChain core coins are bottoming. And I'm like, no, chill out. You could interpret it the other way as well. Okay? This post I just read, he goes, one cool way is to make it harder to get the coins. Okay. Well, if you've made a sacrifice when everybody is dirt poor and the PulseChain core coins are ravaged, that means ProveX coins are scarce because no one wants to touch it because everybody's too poor. Okay? I'm not saying to touch it. I'm just telling you based off supply and demand mechanics, technically, I'm not saying touch it. I'm just saying based off the fact that literally nobody wants anything to do with it because everybody's too poor, it's the safest. Okay? So, but look, you decide on that, right? But also, Richard Hart formula. There's always people who are in it for quick money. So there's always a rinse down. Okay, there's always a rinse down. Even happened with HEX. Okay, I mean, like even think about something to think about as well, right? HEX was the first, it was like the Genesis coin, and that dropped from the adoption amplifier price. It still dropped 98%. So HEX, PulseX, all of his coins get the discount. All of them. Okay, so that's another thing, okay? So you have to weigh that up yourself. And there's an unknown factor on like, when you even get the coins, okay? It's funny, Steve. I'm fully convinced this is not even Richard Hart tweeting on this account anymore. Why? Do you actually understand this post? Okay, so that's what people question. Like, are you telling us it's a bottom or not? You got to remember. Okay, so that's why a lot of people get confused and they're frustrated. Like, bro, this is too much for me. I know it's too much for you, dude. But that's what I'm asking you. Have an honest conversation with yourself, bro. If you were in charge of a crypto coin community and you wanted to get rid of people's non-believer hands, what the hell do you do? What do you do? There's no blacklist function. You can't rewind time. You are not a central bank. You're not even a bank. It's literally decentralized. You can't call them up and tell them to sell. You literally can't do that, okay? And you also you can't go, hey, look at me, monkey see, monkey do, make it take a poop on you. I'm a schizo. And then literally an hour later, I am shaking out the weak hands. I hope you didn't fall for that one. You can't, it just defeats the whole purpose, dude. You know what I mean? Like, but then in the midst of all of that, friends, this is what happened. So after all of this, everything exploding on the way down. Okay, everyone's saying, man, we like totally got scammed. Here is PulseX, for example. I'll just show you the PulseX 1 minute chart as well. Kind of wild. Actually, wow, PulseX is higher. That's wild. Wow, PulseX is actually higher, friends. So PulseX drops 39% and then recovers 60%. Jeez. Okay, so you're probably wondering, Sommi, what happened? Well, Richard then hints that he's going to stream. Okay, and before I even read you this tweet, I want to tell you something, friends. Your friend Sommi here, in one of my 6,000 videos, I made a video a few months ago. Okay, one of my videos down here, okay, one of my 6,000 videos, okay, months ago, I made a video and I informed everyone. I go, hello, if you're new to markets or even if you're oldie, maybe you don't know something, okay? I've seen markets do a lot of shit, okay? And I want you to do this thought experiment, okay? If you are about to buy a lot of the supply of a coin and actually send it up, send an industry like Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything up, okay? I want you to think about if your interest is to grab as much supply for yourself, which is what you should be doing, how would you actually act? Okay, now obviously a noob who's always going to be a noob would say, oh, I will just go and start hitting market and tell everybody that it's going up. Wrong, though. You are wrong. Nobody does that. Okay, nobody does that. Retailers do that at the end of the cycle because they're getting literally exit liquidity dumped on. That's the end. That's the slot machine paying everyone, okay? But actually, I mean, that's why, friends, even if you look at what happened with the Chinese exchange cabal 1010, okay? Before big players, before they send things up, remember your goal, okay, friends? But if you want to buy something, you want to own a lot of it, yeah? Friends, it's literally like, imagine you want to buy, let's say there's a new suburb, a new city's getting built, yeah? And they're going to build like 4,000 apartments, okay? And you want to accumulate this, like there's going to be a school and a hospital and an orange juice fountain and everything's coming in 5 years. You want to buy as many units as you can for yourself, okay? So people don't go out. People want to get as many units. They don't go out and advertise to the world, hey, I want to buy this area. Hello, world, aka my competition. Come and join the line with me and bid up the auction and make it very difficult for me to acquire all of these. Nobody does that, dude. Okay, they don't do that, friends. Okay, they do the opposite. They FUD it. Okay, they FUD it. Do you know who did this, friends? I think it was Arnold Schwarzanegger. Do you know even the actual Arnie? I think it was Arnie, friends. Do you know Arnold Schwarzanegger? He used to own property. Did you know that? Yeah, in his early days. And what they would do, I'm pretty sure it was him in his early days. You only find this in his biography. He wanted to buy stuff cheap. So he would buy one unit and he wanted to buy like the other like 4 in like the building. But they wouldn't sell it to him, the other owners. So guess what they did? He got the Italian mafia. They got some bums and some drug junkies, okay? And they paid them to just literally smoke crackles around the building. And guess what happened? Over the next 18 months, the building degraded. So whenever the owner would come and clean and all like check out the unit, there's always like bums hanging around, you know, warming their hands around the campfire and stuff out here. And so whenever that would happen, his agent, he'd go talk to him. He goes, oh man, this area is getting really bad. I mean, look at these bums. Things are changing, man. Yeah, and guess what happened? Slowly, they'd start to sell. And guess who was buying? He was buying. Okay? After he acquired the units, he kicks the bums out. Okay? It's literally, you wouldn't believe this. This is what they do. This is what they do. Okay? This is what they do. But it's funny, friends. These people are psychopaths, okay? Like, so you're probably very interested in that story, but like, they didn't give a shit about that story, dude. They didn't care about that, bro. Like, friends, if I show you Arnold Schwarzanegger, okay, he doesn't give a crap about that story, even though it's like it's he cares about this, dude. He cares about this glory. That's all he cares about. You see what I mean? This is it. That's what they care about, friends. Okay? I'm sure, I think it was him. If it was not him, it was someone else famous. Him, maybe Sylvester Stallone. It's just like, you know, it might have been Arnie though. You know what I mean? So like, it's just, they may have told you earlier, their brains are just differently, dude. They just think differently, friends. It's like, whenever they're like presented with a game, they can quickly sort out everybody into chess pieces on a board. And they make moves, right? So that's why some people might say, hey, there's no empathy and stuff out here. But like, what does it even matter, dude? Who cares? You know, it's one of these stories lost in time. Pretty wild story, though. Richard Hart, if I was streaming video right now, which I'm not, and won't be until I've written some pages of text I've been putting off. Maybe a day or two. What are these burning questions you have? And he just puts like the most random nonchalant girl. It's like, hello, would you like to ask some questions? That's what sends everybody into a tailspin. Like, bro, the chain just went down 40% in 20 minutes. You put a sacrifice up when everybody's poor, not rich, confuses the hell out of everyone, makes everyone panic, okay? And now you're saying, oh yeah, I might actually stream in a few days. What's going on? Any questions? Okay. So that's what I'm saying, friends. Look, there has to be a strategic reason to this, okay? Unless you genuinely think this guy's actually lost his marbles, okay? I don't think he's lost his marbles, man. Do you think Elon Musk has lost his marbles? Do you really think he is? Or do you think maybe we just don't get the games they're playing? I think it's more likely we just don't get the games they're playing. I think I'll take the punt on that. Okay, I'm just gonna guess they have some view in this world that I just don't see right now. Okay, that's why they call them visionaries. They just see stuff in the future. They see like 18 steps ahead. Okay. But yeah, you still got to make a punt on that. Money Gang Crypto. Why did you buy Ethereum at 3,700, bro? Yes, that's another question to think about. Okay. Decentralized me. You've been tracking the Evil Genius Act. What opportunities does its rulings open up? How does having the most liquidity on PulseX versus Uniswap provide value to traders and secure PulseChain's position in the market? Crypto Coffee. What's the multiplier to sacrifice a firstborn child? Turbo Long. ZK proofs don't solve every security issue, but stacking them with other crypto tools makes systems much stronger. Do you foresee an expansion with ProveX in the near future? Brandon Ragsy. When the wrong political party takes office again at some point in the future, do you think they will again use three-letter agencies to target you and your followers? That's a good question. And I guarantee you the answer's already yes, and he's already planned for it. The question is, though, how does he plan for it? That's why it digs into, is PewDiePie involved or not, right? Now, I want to show you, like, where people shaking out. We've got a post here from Mr. Shill Gates. This is literally, friends, in the heat of the minus 40% down, okay? The heat of it. I won't be posting for a day or so. Nothing I have to say is productive or positive. People's lives were just ruined. Projects that have been working so hard to reach a certain market cap have been wiped out. Many may never return. There will likely be unaliving over this. Crypto soy. Get a grip, pussy. Prices are higher than when the sack was announced. All right. I know, man. I know. I know, friends. Some of you, yeah, some of my, friends as well. What we're talking about WhatsApp here. They're saying, but sorry, man, you're playing with people's lives here. You're playing with people's lives. Like I said, I know, man. I know, bro. It's your life. I get it. It's my life. Okay, but I just want you to think about. You're a CEO of a network, dude. Okay, it's. They think like this, dude. They think, okay, the calendar will tick over. Time will wash away these feelings. And at the end, there will be a leaderboard. That's all they care about, dude. And by the way, that's what they're optimizing for. They're optimizing for the leaderboard at the end. Like, friends, like, I'll give you an example. Lionel Messi. When Lionel Messi looks at his trophy cabinet and he sees his gold medals, is he thinking about, damn, man, I missed my grandma's 60th birthday. Damn, I missed my parents' wedding anniversary. Oh, damn, my best friend from school, I couldn't go to his father's funeral. Do you think he actually thinks about that? He doesn't give one damn. He's probably totally forgotten, man. All he thinks about is, wow, that's a lot of trophies. I did it. That's what he thinks about, okay? What about Elon Musk? What about any of the other CEOs? Okay, it's a scoreboard, dude. It's a scoreboard. Okay, it's literally a scoreboard. That's why the way to win is you got to separate your emotion from what you've thrown in. And you go, okay, man, there's this window of time. I hope that the window of time goes fast. It's been taken forever, which makes it even more painful. But hopefully we make it to the end and there's like some nice gold candy waiting at the end of it. Or maybe a nice glass of orange juice, 1, 3, or 5 ice cubes. Brandon B was never going to make it, DeFi Trig says. So Brandon B fans, I have removed all PulseChain branding from my bio. It's a long time overdue. I'm done bringing any more positive attention to conman Richard Hart. Royston Hart, the bottom is in, boys. Here's Zach. Let's effing go. So everyone called him a cry fat. So did it work? It may have worked. So where does that leave us now, friends? I've just put a daily chart on Pulse. It's actually green. Would you believe it? This is the daily chart. The daily candle is actually green. Isn't this wild, dude? From the top to the bottom, I mean, it wicks all the way down 29%. It's actually wicked back. It's actually green. Now it's ticked down red again. But it's basically, look. So I don't like talking like this because I don't want to put any hope or copium or anything out here because, my gosh, there's been like 48,000 bottom signals. Jesus Christ. But, like, technically, you do this stuff right before you pump stuff. Technically. But also, technically, I've been saying this for literally 1.5 years. All right. But then some people might say, hey, that means, is Richard rinsing and scamming infinitely? Reload scam? No, bro. Well, firstly, I don't know. But secondly, the PMI has never recovered. Okay. So I did not think back when it was like February 2024, I did not think that it was even humanly possible to get black swanned with the PMI this low for this long. Okay, it literally broke the record. We've never had it this bad for this long, ever, in 140 years of data. Okay, so you pull all of that together, and it seems like it's a set of, like, you know, a lot of unfortunate circumstances with this cloud that's just come out of our head, and you're like, oh, it's a cloud. Don't worry, it's just a bit of rain. It's not rain. It's literally just sewer liquid diarrhea. Just, you know what I mean? You're like, dude, a pooping cloud. What are the chances of that? Okay, that's literally what it is. Okay, so where to from here? Look, man, PMI is 48. I would find there's literally nothing you can do. Okay, by the way, this is what was very confusing to me as well. Okay, when we did the PulseChain and PulseX Sacrifice, the PMI was 60. If you want to raise money, you want people to be optimistic about the future. Okay? Doing anything when there's PMI 48, it doesn't mean like you're optimizing to raise money. It means you're optimizing for something else. Like maybe getting rid of a couple of cry fags. It could be that. It could be that. But like, I'll just also, devil's advocate again. What if he thinks, oh, we're going into a bear market for a year? What if he thinks, oh, you know what? Better to raise a bit of money now, even though it's tiny, because we're not going to be able to do anything for 3 years. You know, I've just had to explore every scenario here with you. I'm staying put. I'm not participating, but also, if it goes up only, you know why. It's because no one's in it. But you don't know when you get your coins. Okay, I already know everyone's thinking, there's no way absolutely throwing anything in. But hey, man, you know, we'll see what happens, okay? It's wild, friends. Like that daily candle is pretty much back to where we started. Okay, is Richard? What do you think? Is he actually going to stream in 3 days, 1 or 2 or 3 days, or do you think it's more deception? We'll find out soon. Like, subscribe, bitty button, and I'll catch you.